The continent is called Africa, but that may not have been its first name. One popular story says it was once called Alkebulan, Mother of Mankind, or Garden of Eden, until foreign empires replaced the name. It is a powerful story, but is it true? The honest answer is more complicated. The word Africa may have started as a Roman name for a region near Carthage. It may connect to an ancient people called the Afri. It may be related to a Berber word for cave, a Phoenician word for dust, or another older language now difficult to recover. No single theory is proven beyond doubt, and that uncertainty reveals something important. Africa was never one country, one language, or one civilization waiting for one original name. It was and is a continent of thousands of identities. When the Romans defeated Carthage in 146 BC, they created a province in North Africa. They called it Africa Proconsularis. The name did not originally describe every place south of the Mediterranean. It referred mainly to a region around Carthage, in modern Tunisia and parts of the surrounding coast. The Romans used the term Afri for people associated with that region. In Latin, Africa terra meant something like the land of the Afri. That means the name of an entire continent may have begun as the name of one region and one population near the Mediterranean. A local label became an imperial label became a map label, and the map label eventually covered a continent larger than Rome could ever control. But even this Roman explanation has a problem. Where did the word Afri come from? Some linguists connect it to the Berber word ifri, associated with a cave or cavern. Others connect it to the Phoenician or Punic word afar, meaning dust. Another theory links Africa to the Latin aprica, meaning sunny, or to the Greek aphrike, meaning without cold. These theories do not all mean the same thing. They point to different languages, different peoples, and different ways of describing the land. The question is no longer simply who named Africa. It is which language survived long enough to name the map. Ancient people did not always think in continents the way modern atlases do. They thought in kingdoms, rivers, deserts, coasts, trade routes, and neighboring peoples. The Greeks used Libya for much of the land west of Egypt. They used Ethiopia for regions farther south. Egyptians had their own names for neighboring lands. Kush was not simply Africa, it was a kingdom with its own political identity. Nubia was a region. Carthage was a city-state and empire. Libya could mean a broad western region. Ethiopia could refer to lands south of Egypt in Greek writing. These names overlapped. They were not a single official replacement list. This is why the search for one original name can mislead us. A continent this large may never have had one indigenous name used by everyone living on it. A person in Nubia did not need the same word as a person in the Congo rainforest. A city on the Swahili coast did not need the same geographic label as a kingdom in the Sahel. Africa was not nameless. It had too many names. If thousands of peoples lived on a continent, which one of them gets to claim the original name? The problem is not that Africa had no identity. The problem is that later mapmakers often compressed many identities into one word. A map simplifies. History does not. Alkebulan is often presented online as the continent's oldest name, meaning Mother of Mankind or Garden of Eden. It appears frequently in modern discussions of African identity and historical recovery. But the evidence needs careful handling. The claim is not securely documented in ancient Egyptian, Roman, or widely preserved African records as the universal name for the whole continent. Some modern writers and popular histories repeat it as fact. Others point out that the term's documentation appears much later, and that its language and meaning are uncertain. That does not mean the word is useless. It can function as a modern symbol of dignity, origin, and resistance to colonial naming. But a symbol is not automatically an ancient fact. This distinction matters because African history has suffered from two opposite mistakes. The first says Africa had no history until outsiders named it. The second responds by turning every attractive modern claim into an unquestionable ancient fact. Both mistakes replace investigation with certainty. The better approach is to ask, when does the term first appear? In what language? In which manuscript? Who used it? Did people across the continent use it? Or did a later author apply it to a much older idea? The name Africa is not neutral. A conqueror names a province. A cartographer standardizes a coastline. A colonial office redraws borders. A schoolbook repeats the word until it feels natural. The name Africa expanded as European maps expanded their knowledge and control. But the people living in the continent did not become new people because a foreign map used a wider label. Their languages remained. Their kingdoms remained. Their memories remained. A Roman name could spread across a continent without Rome ruling the whole continent. A colonial map could divide communities without creating those communities. A modern word could become common without being the only word that ever mattered. That is why this episode is not about replacing Africa with one supposedly correct word. It is about recovering the names pushed to the edges. Kemet, Kush, Nubia, Libya, Ethiopia, Ifriqiya, Azania, and the names of kingdoms, cities, rivers, peoples, and regions that a single continental
label can hide. When you say Africa, which Africa do you mean? The Roman province, the modern continent, the African Union, or the thousands of homelands inside it? A name can connect people. A name can also flatten them. The challenge is to use Africa as a bridge without allowing it to erase everything underneath. The popular story says the continent was renamed by outsiders. The evidence suggests a longer process. A regional term was used by Romans. Later, Arabic writers used forms such as Ifriqiya for parts of North Africa. Greek writers used Libya and Ethiopia in different ways. European cartographers gradually expanded Africa to describe the whole continent. No single moment changed the name of every community. Names spread through power, writing, trade, religion, administration, and maps. This is how language becomes geography. A word appears in a document. A ruler uses it in administration. A map prints it. A school teaches it. A generation forgets that the word was ever regional. The most important question may not be what Africa was called before. It may be who had the power to make one name appear permanent. That power was never absolute. People continued to call themselves by local names. They preserved oral histories. They passed down languages, religious systems, praise poetry, family names, and memories of older kingdoms. The continent was never just the name on the European map. It was the voices beneath the map.
So, what should we say? Africa is a real and useful modern name for a continent. Its exact ancient etymology is debated. The strongest historical discussion connects it to the Roman term Afri, but the older origin of Afri remains uncertain. Berber, Phoenician, Latin, and Greek explanations have all been proposed. Alkebulan is meaningful to many people today, but it should not be presented as a proven universal ancient name without evidence. The deeper truth is not that Africa had one secret name erased by history. The deeper truth is that Africa had countless names, and many of them were never allowed to shape the global map. These are the seats of power the world forgot. Not only palaces and pyramids, but words, languages, and names that carry the memory of entire civilizations. Africa is not one story. It is a continent of stories that survived being compressed into one word. Watch our episodes on Kush, Kilwa, Nsude, and Mansa Musa. They are linked in the description and playlist. Next week, we follow one of Africa's oldest surviving names into the civilizations that built along the Nile.
Subscribe to Terracotta Throne and comment, what name for Africa have you heard, and where did you learn it?